IT is over, you funded past and failed at these tasks. When people say humans do wrong work, they usually mean things like hurting others for power, violence, war, oppression, lying and exploiting, corruption, cheating, manipulation, greed over care, destroying nature, hoarding wealth, cruelty and neglect, abuse, humiliation, indifference, forgetting compassion, judging instead of understanding. None of that means all humans are wrong. It means humans are capable of both harm and healing. What actually stops wrong work in the real world? Truth instead of lies, accountability instead of silence, compassion instead of cruelty, wisdom instead of blind rage, action instead of despair. Many spiritual traditions, including Jesus' teachings, focus not on destruction but on love, justice, humility, forgiveness, and protecting the vulnerable. Important grounding note said with respect. If you're feeling like everything is collapsing or that only a total shutdown can fix things, that's usually a sign of emotional overload, not spiritual clarity. Strong feelings don't mean you're wrong. They mean you need support and steadiness. Human wrong work. What Jesus confronted directly hurting others for power, violence, war, oppression. Jesus lived under Roman occupation, an empire built on violence, fear, and domination. He never denied that power harms, but he rejected violence as a solution. You have heard that it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. This does not mean allowing injustice to rule. It means violence multiplies evil instead of ending it. Jesus exposed how power-driven harm corrupts both the oppressor and the oppressed. When his disciple used a sword to defend him, Jesus stopped it. Put your sword back in its place, for all who draw the sword will perish by the sword. Here, Jesus identifies a universal law. Violence rebounds. Empires fall the same way they rise. Jesus also redefined leadership. The rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, not so with you. Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Wrong human work begins when power replaces service. Lying and exploiting, corruption, cheating, manipulation. Jesus spoke more harshly against hypocrisy and deception than almost any other sin. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. This is corruption, appearing righteous while exploiting others. Jesus tied lying directly to spiritual destruction. You belong to your father, the devil. There is no truth in him. There is strong language, but intentional. Jesus shows that falsehood destroys trust, and without trust, society collapses. He demanded truth even when it costs. Let your yeses be yes and your no, no. Human systems fail when truth becomes flexible. Greed over care, hoarding wealth, destroying life. Jesus repeatedly warned that greed is spiritually lethal. Watch out! Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. Greed turns humans into consumers instead of caretakers. He exposed economic injustice. Woe to you who are rich, for you have already received your comfort. This is not hatred of wealth, but condemnation of wealth without responsibility. Jesus connected greed to blindness. You cannot serve both God and money. Money becomes a false god when it controls human choices. Cruelty and neglect, abuse, indifference. Jesus measured righteousness not by belief, but by treatment of the vulnerable. Whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. Neglect is not neutral. It is active moral failure. He consistently stopped humiliation, defended the woman accused of adultery, touched lepers. 80 with social outcasts. Cruelty for Jesus was proof of spiritual emptiness. Forgetting compassion, judgment without mercy. Jesus warned against moral arrogance. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Matthew 7:3. Judgment without compassion is self-deception. He summarized all law as love your neighbor as yourself. Without compassion, religion becomes oppression. What stops wrong work? Jesus' corrective teachings truth instead of lies. Jesus did not say he teaches truth. He said, I am the way and the truth and the life. Truth is not information, it is alignment with reality. Truth exposes corruption, the truth will set you free. But freedom first hurts, because truth confronts false comfort. Accountability instead of silence. Jesus rejected silent complicity. If your brother sins, go and point out their fault. Silence enables harm. He also held leaders accountable publicly. From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. Power increases responsibility, not immunity. Compassion. Instead of cruelty, Jesus entered compassion as divine action. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. The Good Samaritan parable shows that compassion crosses religion, race, and borders. Cruelty is never justified as law, wisdom. Instead of blind rage, Jesus never acted from rage. Even when angry, he was measured. Blessed are the peacemakers. Peacemaking is active wisdom, not passivity. Action. Instead of despair, Jesus condemned spiritual paralysis. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say? Faith without action is dead. When everything feels over, Jesus' final answer. Jesus never denied collapse. He predicted it. Nation will rise against nation. There will be famines and earthquakes. But he rejected despair. Destruction is not the goal. When disciples wanted destruction, you do not know what spirit you are of. God's aim is restoration, not annihilation. Inner change precedes world change. The kingdom of God is within you. Systems fall because hearts rot. Love as resistance. Love your enemies. This is not weakness, it is moral resistance. Carrying the cross responsibility, not escape. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily. Jesus offers meaning in suffering, not escape from responsibility. Hope without illusion. Even on the cross, Jesus forgave. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. That sentence alone answers human wrong. Final grounding important. When the world feels over, Jesus does not say, end everything. He says, be faithful. That is harder, but it's the only path that heals.